Happy New Year! We have entered the year of the wood snake, and I am so excited to share this message with you about this year coming, 2025. So welcome, my name is Lydia. This is the Feng Shui and Bazi Chinese Astrology channel. On this channel, you know that I often read the charts of famous people because I think it helps us to better understand our own lives and our own charts. So welcome. If this speaks to you, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell so you don't miss a single video. I generally put something out 2 or 3 times a week. And yeah, so welcome. I am a traditional Feng Shui consultant using Form School and Flying Stars Feng Shui treatments. I also am a master level Bazi Chinese astrologer. I have clients around the world and I have been doing this work for over 22 years. So welcome again. I wanted to do something very different with this video, different from any other year that I have welcomed in. The last year of the snake was 2013. And I can tell you that year, as much as I was leaning into the idea of transformation, which is what a snake year asks of us, I also had the skin ripped, almost like the change was so profound I couldn't keep up with it. It was a year that I got divorced and got into a new relationship. I moved house. My daughter went through a massive mental health crisis. I had to get a new car. I still have that car, Zippy, I call her. Anyway, it was a year that changed my life. It was also a year, the first year that I ever did a women's yoga retreat. It was the first time that I believe I had gone to see my Buddhist teacher and go on retreat. It was a very big transformative year. And here 12 years later, we're in this wood snake. And it is a time of transformation. If you look around our world, there are so many countries where there are new leaders coming into power. There are leaders that are resigning. There are leaders that are being taken down. And I have looked at the Bazi Astrology. I haven't posted a lot of these, but I have been looking at it going, wow. I mean, I had a whole list of major countries around the world going through profound change. And some of these countries, like the United States, are about to go through a luck cycle change. So next year, the United States will enter a period, a 10-year period, that is marked exclusively with nothing but revolutionary change. Now, I've also used the word Renaissance, but the Renaissance comes after the revolution. Right now, the United States is in identity crisis. It's trying to claim itself and it can't find its voice. It's a very confused situation, if you ask me. There is so much polarity, and even within the polarity, there is fracturing off, and people not agreeing. So it's divisive, to say the least. The thing I want to say about change is needed for growth. Many of you know that I spent 20 years teaching mindfulness kids yoga programs with my business, Nitya Living. And one of my exercises I would do with the kids was I would bring in one of those little plants that's in the tiny plastic black container. And I would ask the kids, do you think this plant is happy in its little home here? Yeah. But do you think it's going to reach its full potential being in this little pot? No. Do you think if we take the plant out of its little pot where it's all nestled in, cozy and happy, and we put it into a big pot with fresh soil and room for those roots to grow and spread, is that going to help the plant reach its full potential? Yes. But what does that require of the plant? It requires that the plant be brave, and that it be curious, that it be accepting, and also cautious, a measure of caution, to make sure that where it's being put is truly the best place for it. You wouldn't want the plant to be put into a pot full of sand, for instance. This isn't my soil. Oh no, I'm gonna die. This is for a cactus. Just saying. As we go into this year of the snake, what I want you to ask of yourself, what part of my life am I ready to change? All right. So I'm going to do a couple of things with you in this time that we have together today. If you have a journal, run and get it. If you have a notebook, something to write in, grab that. And we're also going to do some breathing together. What I want to do is give you these two tools that are my favorite tools for navigating through stressful times and through change. Change is stressful. There's no way around it, and for many of us, our nervous systems are so tanked anyway from the bombardment of the media, which we can't seem to break away from, bombarding us with things to be scared of and anxious about and mortified in seeing. From the fires of LA to, the floods over here and this over there, and this person coming into power, and what this means for these people, and what that means for these people. It's a lot. So this is where we start. Because like you, I find if I'm listening to a video and they have a whole bunch of things that they're talking about, I start to get overwhelmed, and then my brain just shuts out and I'm on to the next video or doing something else. The only thing that you can affect change with is yourself. When we start changing things externally, and we haven't done the work on ourselves, whatever those changes are externally they're not gonna last. They're not gonna be able to take root. For instance, you can't repot that little plant into a bigger pot if the little plant is sick. It's struggling over there. It's got yellow leaves. It's wilting. It needs care. Can we take care of that first before we try and put it in the big pot? Start with yourself, okay? As much as you can, turn away from the news and the media, the talk shows, all this stuff that is so, it's entertaining, catches your attention. I don't know that it's good for us digesting this stuff. So pull away from social media, pull away from looking at the news. You want to stay informed, but be really discerning with where you're sourcing your information. And then I want you to start enacting daily self-care practices. This is also called self-love. It can also be called mothering yourself. It is not selfish. You never have to apologize. Oh, I'm sorry, this is my evening for me. We don't apologize for that. We gently request it with the people we live with. I'm going to start doing this. Feel free to join me, not literally, but for yourself as well. Maybe your partner wants to do this. Maybe your kids want to do this. Everybody gets 30 minutes minimum every day to take care of you. And this requires or can contain activities like meditation, journaling, and breath work. I would add to that a quiet, silent walk in nature. Okay? If you live in the city, take that walk and look up at the trees, whatever trees you have, and sit with those trees. Put your hand on that tree, look up into the tree. So that daily self-care, number one. A lot of people are like, I don't know how to meditate. My mind's all over the place. I am on Insight Timer as a teacher. It's my favorite app for guided meditations. Makes it super easy. Now, the next thing I'm going to teach you is from my grief ceremony training. My beautiful teacher, Hawa. So let's take a moment, pause your little self. Here we go. Place your hands together, start rubbing them, taking 3 super slow breaths. This is called finger magic breathing. It immediately calms the nervous system. 3 slow breaths. It's really great to do when you're feeling overwhelmed, anxious, all the heavy stuff, right? Grief. Okay, now we're going to make fists and rotate our wrists in one direction, mindful of those super slow breaths. Feel it in your body. You can let your eyes close. About 5 times one direction, and now we're going to do 5 times in the other direction. Don't worry about counting. Just feel into the breath. Feel into the breath. Beautiful. Now we're going to touch each fingertip to the thumbs, starting with pointer fingers. Breathe into the power of your belly, up to your radiant heart, through the grief of your lungs, hold at the top. Audible exhale, middle fingers touching the tip of the thumb. Breathe into the power of your belly. Lift it up to your radiant heart through the grief of the lungs. Audible exhale. The next fingers, 3-part breath. Hold at the top. Pinky fingers. Big 3-part breath. Hold, 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 hold. Bring hands together, prayer position at your heart. Breathe in. Breathe out. 3 slow breaths. You notice how you feel in this moment, just from that one breath exercise. You start your day with that, and any time in your day that you feel that stress, that anxiety, that overwhelm, come into this breath. No apologies. Come into this breath and calm yourself down. Get into the place of calm, clear, so that you can make the best choices for yourself. Journaling does not also need to be some big task that you're doing. It's just simply writing down what's on your heart. Today I feel really lonely. I'm surrounded by people, but I feel alone. I don't know why. I wonder what's happening with me. Somebody recommended a really cool podcast. I think I'm going to check that out. Maybe I'll listen to it on my metro ride home from work today. You see, it can be just that simple. It can be one sentence. It can be 3 sentences. It can be a laundry list of grievances. It can be a laundry list of everything you're grateful for, because all you can think of are your grievances. I don't have enough of this. I really want that. Da 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 da. All the things. And yet then you think, but I have food on my table and a roof over my head, and I'm wearing a really cool outfit today. I should take a selfie and post it. Right? And all of a sudden, when you start focusing on what you're grateful for, those grievances don't seem near as big a thing. And so with that daily practice of meditation, of breath work, and journaling, I'll give you this first journal prompt to start your year. What is it that you are ready to transform in your life? What are you ready to transform in your life? Some people might be, I know for myself, cut out all the toxic relationships, the people that are pulling you down, the people that aren't kind to you. It might require that you change jobs because where you're working is toxic. And it is not worth however much money they're paying you. It just isn't worth it anymore. You are more valuable than that. You are worth more than that. And then walk into this year with curiosity, wonder, and openness. Some people in the United States are really freaked out, and I get that. I'm not saying, put on rose-colored glasses and pretend that everything's fine. What I'm saying is check with the fine inside of you, right? Because when I will say this, I have been journaling since I was 10 years old. So that means I have 48 years of journals in a massive wood trunk in my living room. I sometimes write every day something. I feel like it's a conversation I'm having with my angels, my guides, my guardians. Sometimes we have rich conversations together. It's my best friend, my journal. And the more that you get into that relationship with yourself, even if you're in a relationship, even if you have a family, take yourself out. Get dressed up and go out. Take yourself on a hike or take yourself out for a meal. Go for your own long dog walk and tell everybody that wants to come along, not this time, right? Spend time with you. The more that you cultivate a beautiful, loving, accepting relationship with yourself, the more that you will be able to discern with raw, authentic honesty, this is what my life needs right now. This is the transformation required. And it sometimes hurts like crap, right? You break up with your boyfriend. It frickin' hurts. You didn't really want to do this, but you knew it was the right thing you had to do to save yourself from a situation that had turned toxic. Maybe it had already been toxic. Maybe it was abusive and you finally realized it. Maybe it's a job. Maybe it's the home you live in. Maybe it's your neighborhood. All the things, right? And sometimes it's habits that we have with ourselves. It's kind of interesting, right? When life gets overwhelming, stressful, things aren't going your way, how we then turn the harm to ourselves. Overeating, binge drinking, Oh, I only have a couple glasses of wine a night. Not a big deal. It is a big deal. I'm going to come home from my really hard job, take care of my kids and my family, and then on my last hour of the day, I'm going to beat the crap out of my body on the Peloton machine for an hour, because I cannot allow myself to stop and give myself the rest I really need. And I've done this for so long, I've lost connection to what I even want anymore. That's a lot of the women that come to my home for retreat. So again, if we come back to breath, and we come back to meditation, and we come back to journaling what's on your heart, we come into relationship with ourselves, and we're able to then say, this I'm ready to accept and change. And when we make that commitment, the transformation that the snake year invites us into will be profound. That being said, and this again is not to be another person offering, like trying to put fear out there, but it's required. This is required of all of us now. So what I'm saying is get on board the transformation train, friends. Get on board. Again, with curiosity and wonder. What's going to happen? I know, because I've been doing this practice for myself every morning for 30 minutes, breathing, meditation, journaling, that now I can see very clearly this is what needs to change in my life, and I'm going to begin to enact this change. Now, once that change gets enacted, if it isn't all personal, like I'm going to quit binge eating, or I'm going to quit drinking every night, whatever it is, okay? Once you enact that change, it is going to have a ripple effect in your life. Inevitably, it is going to impact your life, and you're going to have to recognize it could create some mess. That is okay. That is okay. As long as the change that you are doing is not with the intention of harming yourself or someone else, including the environment, then proceed with your change. But recognize the cautionary tale that, again, it could create a mess, like a divorce, right? Or a massive job overhaul, where all of a sudden I've given up my 6-figure salary to start my own business. Oh my God, have I lost my mind, right? The more that we can expand within ourselves loving kindness, compassion, empathy, acceptance, respect for ourselves, through that very morning practice that I am encouraging you to adopt, you will come out at the end of this year changed. It is not going to be a guaranteed ride down the slip and slide. In fact, I think this change is kind of like getting on one of those super curly, all over the place slip and slides at those water parks. You couldn't pay me to get on those. Blindfolded. The thing you want to make sure of, friends, is you're the one pushing you. Nobody else. You're going to push yourself down that slip and slide along with all the rest of us. And again, flow with it. Come from that meditative self-inquiry, self-connected mindset Don't be grabbing the sides, trying to stop that flow of energy that is pushing you down the slide. You know how it feels when your skin is on the slide and it's going, it hurts, it burns. Don't do that. Flow with it. Flow with this year. Accept the change. And again, catch yourself internally. Breathe. You've got this. Breathe. I'm so good. Breathe. Time to take a break. Okay, let's take a break. Let's go into a wintering. That's my other video, the story of the snake. Check it out. Let's come into a wintering. That means that on one of the curves going down the slippy slide, you can stick your butt out far enough to stop the slide, long enough to catch your breath. Do a little rest and restore. Maybe that's a weekend, maybe that's a week-long retreat, and off you go again. And when you land in that giant ocean of water at the end with all the rest of us there with you, you're going to look around and see, wow, a lot of us changed this year. And the world around us is a little bit different too, or maybe a lot different. And this, my friends, the change we're moving into within our lives, that yes, we are going to see that internal change reflected in all the ways of our life going forward, prepares us for the year of the fire horse. Dynamic, powerful energy. And so this year really requires that we set ourselves up in our relationship with ourselves and how that transmits into every aspect of our life, so that when the year of the horse comes, we're ready to jump on it and ride. But until then, come back to breath, meditation, discernment, journaling, and create that 30-minute morning practice, even if it means that you've got to go to bed a little early so that you can get up a little earlier. This is how we do it, okay? And I am right here with you every step of the way. These videos that I want to put out more and more this year are this kind of a dharma talk, a satsang. Let's sit down and understand the overall mood of the moment, aside from the specifics of the astrology, okay? And remembering, speaking of astrology, that 2025's astrology chart is the day of the rabbit, month of the tiger. It is a double spring. And again, going back, referencing that video, the story of the snake part 1, which I'll put a link below, is recognizing that a double spring is really like a big jump off the trampoline of life. And as you're catapulting through the air from that little plant, little pot, to the big pot, how you leap and how you transform, how you innovate, how you create this life for yourself is going to require the discernment, the intuitive voice, and the serenity of the snake. The snake is behind the scenes. He needs to be behind the scenes in order to be clear enough to get the messages from God, the universe, your guides, your guardians, and angels. They are constantly sending you messages. I'll even tell you one crazy way that the universe will show up. So last month, mid-December, my chickens are out running around like they love to do. They're waiting for me as I speak to let them out of their run so they can be in the fields trying to find bugs that don't exist in January. But there was an animal attack. And I'm in here writing a blog, and the power keeps flashing on and off. The internet's going in and out. And I'm like, what's going on? I just want to finish this blog. It's not a long one. Come on. And so I didn't pay attention to the signs, because at that exact time that the house was flickering the electricity and the internet, a bobcat grabbed one of my chickens. Lesson learned, right? Because I'm usually really, really sharp with stuff like that. But that day I wasn't. And it never even occurred to me that that's what was going on. The house was trying to get my attention. There's danger out there. You need to get up and go tend to it. Lesson learned. Hard lesson learned. Anyway, that's what I'm talking about. That might sound a little crazy nuts, but literally that can happen. It might be the sign of an animal that shows up. It could be something else, a bumper sticker, messaging that shows up. Pay attention. Look for those guideposts. Yeah. See how God and the universe show up to communicate with you, to offer you support and guidance. It's a very interesting thing. So anyway, thank you so much for listening. I welcome you with me. Holding hands, friend. Holding hands. We march. We slither. We transmute into this year of the wood snake together. And as we do, I will be with you month by month, week by week, checking in. And I will try, if you're interested in more journal prompts and things like this, I will try to bring those into some of the shorts. And we're going to be, I can't wait to see where we are this time next year. Curious, full of wonder. Let's go.